I have a quick question. Was anyone really asking for a fourth Kung Fu Panda movie? Well, apparently a lot of people, judging by how many views and likes the first trailer got. Kung Fu Panda 4 is the fourth installment in the Kung Fu Panda film franchise, and apparently there's going to be 6 more Kung Fu Panda movies after this one. Yeah, I was shocked as well. If you guys don't know, I really enjoyed the Kung Fu Panda movies. I thought the first two were really strong. And the third movie, while not as strong as the first two, still managed to be a satisfying conclusion to the trilogy. Similar to Toy Story now that I think about it. Now we have number 4, a sequel that nobody asked for, but they made it anyway to capitalize off your nostalgia. So, is this movie any good? You'll find out soon enough. Set some time after the third movie, this installment follows Po trying to find his successor so that he could become the spiritual leader of the Valley of Peace, much like Oogway was before him. But sadly, this needs to be placed on hold because there's a new villain in town called the Chameleon. And her power is that she can shapeshift into any kung fu master that she wants. This means that yes, you do see old villains like Tai Lung, Lord Shen, and Kai. And while all of this is going on, Ping and Lee, Po's fathers, decide to go after their son because they're worried about him. And yeah, that's basically it. The story is a redux of Kung Fu Panda 3, but because I feel like playing nice today, I'll list out some good things first. The animation, as expected, looks pretty good, even though I think it's a little bit sanitized compared to the first 3. I thought the city that the characters were running around in was really fun to explore. I would say the action and fight scenes in this one are pretty decent. I still think 1 has the superior fight scenes and 2 has better action. There were attempts at humor in this one.
The Dragon Warrior and I have a deal. Mind your own business, squirrel.
Master Shifu is not a squirrel. I'm a red panda.
Ha ha!
The characters were decent. Not perfect, but they're decent. I'll give this movie credit that it doesn't disrespect or butcher the legacy characters of the first 3 films. Po stays consistent with who he's been throughout the trilogy. He stays upbeat, cheerful, and he can still kick ass even to this day. Same thing goes for Ping and Lee. Hell, even Tai Lung stays consistent with who he is. Speaking of Po, I think his relationship with Zen was alright. I like how they both learn from each other. Zhen, and by extension Po's fathers, teach him that change is alright, and Po teaches her about loyalty and trust. You know, a teacher-student relationship. If only certain franchises learned how to do that properly. But it's not like this movie does it better because everything is so underdeveloped that it's not even funny. The music is a banger, as expected. I had no doubts that it wouldn't be good. And here's one more pro that acts as this movie's strength but also its weakness. This is the shortest Kung Fu Panda movie out of the bunch. Correction, if you cut out the credits, Kung Fu Panda 2 is the shortest one out of the bunch. But this one's pacing is so quick that it feels short, you know? Anyway, I just wanted to correct my mistake. Carry on. So if you're worried about staying in that movie theater for a long time, you don't have to worry because the pacing is really quick. Also, Jack Black singing Hit Me Baby One More Time was pretty nice to listen to. Alright, time to complain. The side plot with Ping and Lee was completely pointless, and I think they have a journey about being brave, which is stupid because in the last movie they took on Kung Fu warriors with no problem. Speaking of pointless, do you guys remember the Furious 5?
He lives and he trains and he fights with the Furious 5. Protect the valley, something, 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 something alive.
They're not in this one. Until the end credits. They only get a brief mention at the start of the movie, then there's the end credits, and that's it. But honestly, this doesn't piss me off that much because their roles have been slowly diminishing with each passing movie that comes out. The attempts at humor in this one fell flat on its fucking face.
Seven Nation Army couldn't hold me back. so tired. I'm so tired of all of this.
The chameleon herself is not as interesting as Tai Lung, Lord Shen, or even Kai for that matter. She's not as intimidating or threatening in the slightest. She has a gimmick of stealing powers from Kung Fu warriors, using them, and that's it. There's nothing that's unique to this character. Also, why the fuck didn't you get Gary Oldman and J.K. Simmons to come back and voice those characters? Come on, man. Another problem with this movie is the tone. Remember how I told you my biggest issue with Kung Fu Panda 3 was that it was too lightweight compared to the first two? Yeah, this movie continues that reputation. It's too lightweight. I didn't get a sense that anything was really at stake, despite the chameleon's plans to take over everything using these Kung Fu warriors' powers that she stole. As I said before, the pacing in this one is fast as fuck. The smooth pacing that was in the first, second, and third movie has been completely obliterated. It just feels like this movie is so quick to move on to the next scene, unlike the last 3 Kung Fu Panda movies that actually let scenes play out before they jumped straight into the action. This one here, it's not it, Chief. And the biggest problem with this movie is the lack of sincerity, heart, and soul. There's never an emotional moment in this movie that could rival some of the best moments from the previous films. It feels hollow, underdeveloped, and not that interesting. It just feels like this movie only exists to kickstart a new trilogy. Seriously, this is the most corporate that Kung Fu Panda has ever been. It looks like Kung Fu Panda, but it doesn't feel like Kung Fu Panda. If there's one positive I will give this movie credit for, it's that it makes me appreciate the third one a lot more. Kung Fu Panda 4 isn't terrible, but Jesus fuck mother and Christ, is it not worth my time or anyone else's time? But it's still the worst movie in the Kung Fu Panda filmography. This is a clear example of a sequel that's made to make money and cash in on nostalgia. It's not made for the sake of telling an interesting story. Although this movie has good things in it, I dislike it more than I actually love it. But hey, it's better than Toy Story 4, and that's gonna count for something, I guess. Okay, this part is outdated because we recently just got information into the development of Kung Fu Panda 4, and honestly, I think this movie is significantly worse than Toy Story 4. If you guys want to know more, I suggest you read this Twitter thread because it goes into deeper detail about how much of a disingenuous cash grab this movie is. Yo, DreamWorks, you need to step your game up, man. First that fake-ass Megamind sequel, and now this shit? Come on, man. Anyway, back to your scheduled programming. Anyway, those are my thoughts. What do you guys think of this movie? Tell me in the comment section below, and I'll catch you guys later.